Just everything I seen, I felt like we were lied to in regards to what's really going on in the motherland. Just from the clean food to it being pretty advanced, more advanced than I thought it would be. We're really good hustlers, but to transition a hustle into a real business, that's something that's different, right? All right, my name is Monty Graham. Everybody, I'm known also as Gusto the Great. That name came to me playing basketball in college, and also dealing with music. I've moved to Africa, Ghana, Africa to be specific. And I started the Cashew Daddy brand, which is a agricultural company where we add value to the cashews that are being grown and that are being grown here in West Africa.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, and this is some of my favorite interviews to do because this brother came from Deerfield, Florida, and then I'm finding him in Africa, and he has the brand Cashew Daddy. But the brother's done more than just cashews. We're going to get into it because I see him in racing gear. He has custom, racing gear on. That's big money, y'all. That's a big blessing. So we're going to see. So much he's done, from radio to now cashews. Sir Monty, Sir Gusto, what's going on, my bruv? Give us the game.
I'm in the building. Thank you for having me, Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Your name perceives you. What you do perceives you. So I'm happy to be here on this interview with you.
I'm going to have you just start where you tell your story. And you said Deerfield, but you're from New York. You can't get away from a New Yorker.
Yeah, I know. I can't shake that. It's been with me forever, but that's where I was born and raised. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are Guyanese, but I was born in America. So once I started going to school playing basketball, it kind of led me to Florida, and that's where I ended up going and playing basketball there for a year or so. And I studied international business at Lynn University in Boca Raton. So it's funny that I was studying international business, never thought that I would actually be doing international business, but that was what I wanted to do as a young man. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be able to do business. It's so funny because I remember I did a US Open as like an internship, and I was in a room full of just like maybe about 1,000 kids. And they asked us, what do you want to do? So I raised my hand. I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. And everybody started laughing. This room was very diversified. It wasn't very many young Black men or women in the room. But when I said entrepreneur, I heard the chuckles. Everybody was laughing. So the professor was like, oh, that's nice. He was like, could you tell the people what an entrepreneur is? So I explained to the room what an entrepreneur is. And that memory always stuck with me in regards to, my ambition, even at that time. I think I might have been like about 19 years old.
Wow. Yeah. They were laughing then. And even though we came up with like people like Master P and, the Too Shorts and E40s who, at some point all did some business, they're laughing now. But I know during COVID, now everybody's an entrepreneur, right?
Exactly. Everybody know what that is now, right? It's like the cliche word. And even back then, I understood what an entrepreneur was. I just came from parents and a family that were ambitious. They were self-starters. I remember my mom started her catering business that she did for 30 years in the basement of our home. My brother, I'm saying, he's transitioned his life, but he was definitely one of the biggest hustlers coming out of New York at the time. When I was young, I could kind of remember those days. So, I came from a family of go-getters and self-started individuals. And I think that just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, and I'd go deeper into your brother, but I mean, there's so many legendary people. Some people love, some people hate. This isn't the Vlad show, so we'll leave it at that. But it shows you that from point A to in the middle to point Z, whoever you are, you have a way to inspire people and show them, well, you can do this. Thank God you took it, this route, but you started cashews, and I had mentioned in the opener, I'm seeing racing gear. Tell us right now, this Cashew Daddy, does the brand have our own racing track and a racing team? And when can we apply? Because, you know, some of us still think we got some drive in us.
Well, definitely. With the we don't have a racing team per se, like let's say a racing track. But what we did is we got involved with an initiative called Race for Change, and that was done by my cousin, and he's here in Ghana also, called Marvin Walker. He has a Shark Island here in Ghana. So he created this Race for Change, and it was something that I wanted to be involved in. You know, the Cashew Daddy brand, we do a lot of charity work, a lot of giving back. So when this Race for Change initiative was brought to us, we were like, yeah, we definitely want to be involved, and whatever we have to do to be involved in this, we want to do that. So that's what you're seeing, the racing gear in regards to that. So these are the initial steps in regards to that. But you know, that was a photo shoot that we did. And yeah, the Race for Change is going to be in December of this year. So we're really looking forward to that. And it's basically like NASCAR on the water.
Okay, you guys, he said a name from a past guest, their family. So I'm going to tell you right now, what Marvin has gone through. Man, you got to be like a Marine to go through this, what he's gone through in Ghana. And he told us some of it. He's told other podcasts, you know, some of it. Now you see the connection, and when you're around winners, when they say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, this is what it's about.
Yes, very much so. You know, your circle of friends will determine you know, where you're going and where you're heading. And I have to say that, you know, thank God it's family. But yeah, definitely I'm in a circle of ambitious individuals here in Ghana. We all feel like we are pioneers in being in Ghana and the things that we're doing. So, you know, it feels great to have a good circle of ambitious entrepreneurs around you, because iron sharpens iron. And yeah, it's just been life-changing for me being here in Ghana. I'll tell you the truth, I've even changed my circle of friends being here in Ghana and starting the Cashew Daddy brand.
And talk about that, because people talk about, you know, when we go to another country, we aren't immigrants, we're expats. So we don't get this big story. We only had $10 in our account, or, you know, no matter what the amount of money is. But as an expat, especially coming to an African country, especially a West African country, everybody looks at you like wealthy. You're Michael Jordan. Once you get there, you can help them out. You can help their family. Talk about that transition and how you got to choose your friends, because you had to pick wisely or you will get ripped off.
Yes, very much true. You know, I've you know, I pride myself in being a streetwise individual. So coming to Ghana, you know, I didn't take that hat off. I kept that hat. I kept my ambition, and you know, it's a place where when you come to Africa, I think that a lot of people come here with the thoughts, you know, of you know, helping and saving the land and things like that. But I didn't come here, you know, as a you know, as like an expat or a I would say what they call you know, like this pro Africa. I came here dealing with music. So I was working with a record label started by my uncle. And he signed artists in Ghana and also in Nigeria. So I'm really the music person of the family. You know what I mean? That's how South Florida comes into play. You know, I did a lot of work with 99 Jams. I would say that's my home also. Working with Waggy T Movement, my big homie Mike B, different DJs there, you know, at 99 Jams, you know, everyone to name, right? I did a lot of work. I started with radio promotions. I had a street team. So that's how I got my feet soaked in music when I came to Florida. So I was always been into music, and that's what brought me here. So I didn't come here as like a person repatriating because I felt like America wasn't good enough for me. I just came here dealing with the music. And yeah, I came here 2020, January 1st, 2020. And COVID broke out in between me being here dealing with the music. And, you know, I had to go back to the US. And I just had this yearning of wanting to come back to Ghana because just everything I seen, I felt like we were lied to in regards to what's really going on in the motherland. Just from the clean food to it being pretty advanced, more advanced than I thought it would be. There were malls here, movie theaters, right? Clubs, of course, that's what I was doing around December coming here, right? So just giving you that gist of it, it was like, you come here, you figure it out. But when I came back the second time, which was later on that year, once they opened the borders, it was just about, all right, how do I kind of maneuver? And I really wanted to just get an apartment. So, I did, when I was in the US, I was dealing with some people and, they kind of didn't do the right thing with the money. But when I came here, I was able to acquire an apartment. The way that I stay away from the nonsense is I just keep my street hat on. I don't, watch face. I don't get in people's faces. I kind of move to my own beat. I stay very focused on the business that I'm doing. So that kind of helps to stay away from the riffraffs and people always asking for a handout. But with the Cashew Daddy brand, I'm able to, affect change, right? Because you're hiring people, you're paying individuals, right? I have a company. And transition that hustle into a company, that's a real part too. I like to shed some light on that because I think I heard someone say is that, we're really good hustlers, but to transition a hustle into a real business, that's something that's different, right? So, I have a thriving business. It's a real business, a real company. I'm hiring people, we're paying taxes and things like that. So, it's just transitioning, what you started as a hustle into real business. And that's the thing that keeps me excited. It's all new to me, right? It's all new to me. I never started in agriculture, but I was into packaging, right? I was into packaging. I was into business. So the transition of getting into the cashews and having a knowledge of packaging and the aesthetics from the US, I think that's something that really helped me out to continue to grow and scale.
Hello everyone! Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature, and traditions from Yaoundé market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music, and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.
You find the place to produce and package. You've done interviews before talking about that. How difficult or how easy was it compared to maybe what we deal with in America, trying to get into a Publix, a Walmart, a Safeway? What was that like?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, I can't go back to like, if you're a go-getter, and I believe that I'm a go-getter. So when I started this, I didn't start this on like an idea, like I'm going to do this. It was just like something that came to me. I love cashews. I eat them all the time. I was eating them. My partner, she said to me, yo, you're on the last cashews. You need to buy more. That sparked something in my head. I went to Google, I went to YouTube, I started looking things up and found out that, there's actual cashew country here in Ghana and throughout West Africa. So I went out and I just did the research. I literally got on a bus and traveled all the way, like 10 hours in, right? Into, where cashews are being produced. And I walked away from that initial meeting, I didn't even schedule a meeting. Kellen, I tell you, this thing was really like God sent, right? I didn't schedule a meeting. I just went there to try to find out if I can find cashews. And I ended up running into the cooperative president. So a cashew cooperative is several farmers. And, I ran into him. He couldn't understand fully what I was saying. But again, my streetwise is that I didn't move by myself. I moved with someone that can speak the language. And that allowed me to, start that relationship that I've been nurturing, since, right? So, yeah. And, I walked away from that meeting with 100 pounds of cashews, which is basically like about 50 kilos. And I'm way past that now. I'm buying by the tonnage at this point. But yeah, I walked away from about 100 pounds of cashews and didn't know how I would source the bottles, how I would source the labels. But I tell you, when you believe in something and something is meant for you, you know, it's just gonna unravel itself as you believe more and more in yourself. So I was able to source the plastic. Where I sourced the plastic, I literally walked outside with these bottles, right, and looked next door, and it looked like a printing place. And I walked in there, and it was a printing place. It's one of the biggest printers and graphic places here in Ghana. Walked in there, struck up a conversation with them, and then I ended up putting together what you see in my product, the Cashew Daddy brand. You know, that's what I ended up doing, at the logo and everything. And then from there, I produced maybe about 40 pieces of the first prototype, and I hit the road. I didn't, like, you know, sit at home sending emails, would you try this? I literally hit the road. So what I did is every store that I could not find cashews when I was trying to buy them for myself, I went back to those stores, literally just like that. And that led me to maybe after my first week, about 4 stores, 2 weeks, maybe about 7 to 10 stores. And probably within a month to a month and a half, I had acquired a contract with Allied Gas Station for 14 stores throughout Ghana. And yeah, that's when things kind of started moving and let me know that, you know, I had something viable here. Um, and I've just been growing and scaling. You know, one of the things that, you know, really allowed me to continue to push was the fact that whenever someone tasted the cashews themselves, they would say, yo, these are unique. They taste different than other cashews on the market. So one of the things that I did is I really just did a lot of research and inquiring how were cashews being produced, and how were they being done traditionally, in a traditional African way, you know, natural, no preservatives, anything like that. And that's what I've been able to perfect. So the Cashew Daddy brand is definitely a unique taste. If you like honey roasted cashews, you'll love the Cashew Daddy brand. It's not very salty, like how, you know, in the States, a lot of cashews are very salty because they're trying to preserve them. We don't produce like that. Our cashews for our distributors does not sit on the shelf for maybe more than, let's say, 30 to 60 days. So, you know, we have a high turnover, so we feel good about that. Yeah, and it's just been scaling, you know, and growing. So you asked me a question like, how did I transition? You know, my partner is Ghanaian, so I learn a lot. I listen and I ask the questions, and you know, your circle of, you know, locals kind of help you to move the right way without getting chopped, as they would say. And I thank God for that, because, you know, I met a lot of people here that really took serious losses. I've done a lot here, and I took a little bit of a loss, but I learned a lot when I acquired a concession for gold. So I was acquiring gold when I came here. You know, this is the Gold Coast, and I'm from New York, and being in Florida, it's one of the things that we do. You know, we buy gold and insure gold. And when I came here, a lot of my friends were interested in that, so I was just purchasing gold, right? And then I got a call from another person from the States, or actually a New Yorker too, about a concession that we can buy, and I did that. And we went in the ground. There was no gold in there, to be honest with you. But there was a mineral in the ground. You might have heard me speak about it. And I've learned a lot, right? And from that situation. So I transitioned, right? I mean, I went from the concession, and then I went to doing some catering, you know, just doing catering. And that was good. But I felt like I was feeding people more than making money. So I really wanted to find something else to do. I really was on the verge of kind of going back to America, because, you know, when you're in a foreign land, you want to be able to make money the way that you were making it, you know, at home. You want to be able to stay consistent with money. And yeah, and then the Cashew Daddy brand came along, and it was like, I can't leave, you know. It just was it was growing. I seen the potential in it, right? So, you know, it's been 2.5 years later, and just been growing and scaling and feeling really good about what I'm doing. I think I found a lot of purpose in my life with the Cashew Daddy brand and what I'm doing with you know, this agriculture.
I know out there, you know, you talked about your cousin Marvin. I know you've connected with Deja from Deja Vu's and the jerk cut. How easy has it been to go up to, you know, stores and even entrepreneurs like her and say, hey, can you hold my product? And what is the difference in pricing? Because online we see like $15, which I believe is 235 CDs.
Yes.
But like, is it cheaper if we come to Ghana?
You better believe it. So for me, strategically, you know, my .com is where I use, and I'm doing some work with the .com right now. I'm changing some things around, right? So there's some work going on with that right now as we speak. But I use the .com as my e-commerce. That's how I sell retail, right? So here in Ghana, I'm a wholesaler, right? I took that route just because I wanted to be able to get to many stores, right? So I came in competitively, you know, competitive pricing. But yeah, you know, our fellow Americans that have businesses, I work with a lot of them. Deja Vu, you mentioned, I don't have my cashews at her spot yet, but it's something that we spoke about, and I'm sure that I will have it there. But, you know, I work with my other brother at Jerk Soul, Telly, a couple of other, you know, expats that have restaurants and bars. You know, I work with them. There's some other expats here that, you know, started doing things with like cashew butter and cashew cheese, and I also source them. So I'm a wholesaler here in Ghana, right? A wholesaler distributor. And I manufacture the product. Of course, we manufacture the product ourselves. So it's basically farm to table. I go to the farms, I purchase my cashews. I have a processing partner that I spoke about earlier that takes the cashews out of the shells for me and then send them here to Ghana, send them here to Accra, where I go ahead and I manufacture the Cashew Daddy brand.
Now, you know, when we hear certain stories, sometimes people get inspired, but sometimes they get scared because, you know, something like Marvin's project, a whole resort, and he's buying land, selling land, and people say, look, I don't have it like that. Deja Vu, she had a food truck. Some people could say, okay, I think I got enough for a food truck, right? Maybe I got 10, 15 bands. I can go do that. What would you say to that entrepreneur thinking about coming to Ghana, especially trying to come to Accra, right, where everybody comes first? What should they come with if they're even thinking about business, and how long should it take them? How long should they stay? Because you can't just come for a week and say, I'm ready.
No, you can't come for a week. But what I would say is, if you have that calling and you have this thing burning inside you that's saying, yo, I think that I should go to Ghana or Africa to pursue a certain business, then that you should make that move. What should you come with? You should come with knowledge of what it is that you're looking to do, right? Even if it's like, I want to do something, but I'm not sure what I want to do, but I know that Africa is the place where all the resources are. So let's say you want to do beauty care, shea butter is here, right? All of these things are here, right? I would say just come with your head on, right? Come with the resources that you think you would need if you're gonna start initially, right? That's one thing with us as Black people. Sometimes we dilly and dally and we don't just get into the business. To start a business here is not hard, right? I went the partner route. Some people want to do it on their own. That's going to cost you a little bit more, but don't let anything fear you, right? I went the partner route because that worked for me. So I was able to get right into business. It didn't cost me an exorbitant amount of money. Cashew Daddy brand is not the only business that I started here. I started land acquisition. It's called Motherland Acquisition Group, where I'm partnered with people in the U.S. and we're acquiring land here in Ghana, right? So that's another business that I'm doing. We'll be building apartments, and you know, I have some plans right now, but I'm trying to finalize those, and I'll be sharing those on my social media. But I would say anyone that you really want to, you want to come, keep your head on, figure out what it is that you want to do, and every $1 trillion company is here in Africa. And the reason why they're here in Africa, but this is where the resources are at. So when you talk about cashews, I'm not going through a middleman. I'm going straight to the farmers and I'm buying my cashews. They're going to sell to you just like anybody else, especially you spending American dollars. They're going to sell to you like anybody else. So when you come here, if you want to get into shea butter, you want to get into whatever it is, you can go right to the source. You don't have to go through a middleman. And that's one of the things that I'm very proud about, because if I was in America doing this, I'd probably be buying either from the Indians or Chinese, right? So I'm not doing it. I'm buying from Africans like us, and they're farmers, and they own acres on acres of land that stretch from Ghana all the way to Togo to Cote d'Ivoire, right? So the amount of cashews that I'm able to source is as much money as I have.
Okay. Tell the people, because people hear cashews, they hear shea butter. I have investments in Cameroon, and people say, well, you got to get into cement, right? The richest man in Africa, he's in cement. He has some contracts available. But what people don't understand is these are businesses that from A to point Z, a lot can happen to your work in the middle. How did you go about, and when did you say, you know what, I'm trusting my drivers and my delivery people? And did you have a foolproof plan of, if this doesn't come, you all owe me, I'm gonna sue you? Like, how did you, work all that out?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So, oh my gosh. That's such a good question. That's a very, very good question. And Kellen, you wouldn't even believe, I haven't dealt with anything like that. I feel it was God sent, because my partner, the cooperative president, is such a good guy. He's just a good person. He's not trying to rob anybody and trying to make a exorbitant amount of money. The truth is that I'm happy to say this, is that he's looking at me like, make something happen, right? Bring investors in. Let's grow this small processing into medium or large scale processing. Those are some of the things that I'm looking to do. Just a good person. I think people get caught up sometimes with bad people, but I didn't in this situation, right? I didn't get caught up with a bad person. I got caught up. I got involved and able to form a partnership with someone that's a good person and that actually has all this resource around them. It's like God sent, right? So what I want to do is I want to add more value to that, right? I want to add more value to that. I want to be able to say, look, I have $50,000, $100,000 that we could turn around now and buy equipment, set up a bigger warehouse, and move forward like that. I could tell you that it's cashews. I didn't know anything about agriculture, but it's very, very lucrative business. And in Africa, the sky is limitless, because I can duplicate this anywhere that I go. So if I left here and I went to South Africa, I can duplicate the same thing, right? It's just labels, plastic, and accounts. Literally like that, because more than likely there's a country, if not South Africa, a neighboring country that has cashews also. And it's pretty much be the same thing. The pricing pretty much doesn't change. As a matter of fact, Ghana is probably one of the more expensive countries in Africa. So if you could come here and you can make something happen, the sky is limitless in other African countries. And then when you talk about outside of here, right, I distribute to the US, but I don't have an actual distributor. I don't have a store that I could say you can go to this store. But maybe, myself and you, Kellen, we could talk about some things, and I get some things cracking in South Florida with the Cashew Daddy brand, because like I told you, I'm a wholesaler. And I pride myself in being a wholesaler. But yeah, the opportunities are here, but you have to keep your head on. You can get caught up with bad people, but I think if you're handling your business like business, you're going to be able to, make strides and scale whatever it is that you're looking to do. So I've heard about a lot of the nightmares that people have experienced, but I have not. And I thank God for that. I have not experienced any of that yet.
And when he writes his book, y'all, he'll name these people, and then you can say, this is a great person. But even for that first run of cashews, even for documentation purposes, did you go out in the truck and see how the process was done? And how many times have you done that?
Yeah, so I'm always there. Every 3 months or so, I'm going down to see exactly what's going on. and I have a partner. So if I'm not able to go, she's able to go and track into and deal with it. So I've diversified, right? So I've added value to the crop, and I've also added value to the fruit itself. So cashew is an actual fruit. A lot of people don't know that. And what I've done is, a lot of people have not done it, but I've been able to do it, and I've been able to add value to the fruit. So I also make a cashew fruit also.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.
All right, we're back.
Cashew fruit. I'm listening.
Yeah, so the cashew fruit, I added value to that also. A lot of the times what was happening with the fruit is they'll take the nut off of the fruit and throw the fruit back on the ground. It helps to fertilize the area and helps with growing the fruit. But of course the fruit is it's so tasty. It's a lot of juice from it. So the first time I tasted it, I was like, there's something I'm gonna do with this. I wasn't sure what it was. After playing with it in my first season, kind of just making some juices at home, I think we had perfected that. So now when I'm out at trade shows and things like that, I do produce a multi-fruit Cashew Daddy drink that's so delicious. I think our DNA holds memory. So people, when they taste it the first time, they're like, this is incredible. So I'm working with some food scientists here at the University of Ghana to build the sustainability of the drink itself, because it ferments really fast. So I don't have it in the stores as of yet, but I am working with the right people to get this on the shelves.
Man, so you guys got to take a trip to get the fruit, because you got to get it fresh. It probably has something about it. It's you saying that with no preservatives and 30 days on the shelf. That is amazing. Is that something when it comes to America, we always have something processed? Does it have to go through a process, another ingredient added to it?
No, what I believe though is that they're really salting and really hydrating the nut. Let's talk about, let's say if it was like planters, they're really hydrating it so you don't get the real flavor as you would. That's why I like if it's just like a plain cashew, it's really salted. It helps to keep shelf life. And if you're talking about honey roasted, it's really it's a lot of the nutrients is being taken out when they dehydrate it. Now I go through a process similar to that, but what we do is we bring out that natural flavor within the cashew. So when you taste the Cashew Daddy brand, it's one of those things where it's like all kind of flavors are going off, and people just really say, you know what, this tastes different than anything that I ever tasted. So we feel like I have a distributor in Canada, and we produce it in a way that it does stay, right, so it'll last for 6 months regardless, any which way. There's no preservatives. The shelf life is extended, is really long, but for us the product doesn't stay on anyone's shelf longer than about 60 days.
You're out in paradise, living the life, having success. The best is yet to come for you. What is a community give back that you're doing or that you plan on doing in the future?
All right. So right now, we feel like we have a corporate responsibility plan, and that plan is basically in the town that we source our cashews, of course, we're affecting it just by buying the cashews from the farmers, right? You know, we're putting those American dollars into that community. But I feel even more so than that, we get involved in different charitable events, and people hit me up all the time, right? And we donate, we give cashews to these different charitable events, whether it's something to deal with the kids in orphanages, or it's a charitable event where they're raising funds for different events. You know, we stay involved in that. So for us, we want to continue to affect you know, these charitable events and these communities that we're involved in. And yeah, we're just going to continue to do those things. If you take a look at our social media and even on our website, you know, you can see the different events that we get involved in. And we feel great that we're in a place where we can give back, right? So it's not always about just kind of taking or, you know, reaping benefits and revenues, but it's about, you know, how can we affect change? You know, we're hiring people. You know, one of my workers, you know, she's having a baby right now. So, you know, it feels good to be able to affect change in people's lives and things that they have going on.
We kind of tapped into it, but I want to make it clear as day. Somebody saying, Ghana, I'm being called to it. We've seen people from all over, not just Ghana, being flew back without their passports in hand because they weren't already ready for Africa. Do you have any consulting or recommend anybody for the consulting before people think, oh, I'm going to just come move there out of the blue? Because some can't retire here, right? They got to go somewhere. If you have that, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. So I do consulting. It's because you know, I'm doing a lot of interviews similar to like yours, and then people just reach out. And sometimes people are reaching out. They're like, you know, I'll be there in 3 years. You know, for people that's on the ground, that's like I don't know what to say. That's like dog years. You know, it's like 3 years. Like in 3 years, I don't even know if I would still be in Ghana, right? Because the way that my business is scaling, right? And I'm looking at other countries to, you know, take this to. But I would say you have to reach out to individuals. You know, there's really dope individuals here. You know, I'm dealing with agriculture. You know, you have people like Diallo that's here. I'm sure you probably know who that is. He's doing really big things. He was responsible for the year return with the government.
Not just that, he was responsible for some of us getting our Sierra Leone citizenship. Diallo is a real chief, a really humble, great guy.
Yeah, a real one, definitely coming out of DC, East Coast guy. You know, there's a brother named Quab here, Quab Asamoah, Custom Looks. You know, he's closed Obama, you know, to a lot of stars. He closed all the Olympic African games and things like that. So there's a lot of people here doing really big things. And like I said, my cousin, you know, Aletha Israel, there's a lot of people here that's doing a lot of big things. And, you know, those are the circle of people I think that you want to reach out to. You know, and I think a lot of the times people get bad raps because, you know, they're trying to help people. And sometimes when you're trying to help people, you can't help everybody. And that's why I'm glad I didn't take that route, right? I didn't take a route where I'm trying to consult and stuff like that. I'm really moving to my own drummer's beat. You know, I have a good team around me. It's not a huge team, but we get the job done, right? And yeah, you want to be able to reach out to individuals. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm on social media, Gusto the Great on Instagram. You know, the Cashew Daddy brand, you can always hit me up on a DM. You know, rewriting my story on YouTube. You can see some of the things that I'm doing. I do a morning motivation sometimes, you know, let people hear, you know, a little motivating words coming out of the motherland. But yeah, I'm easy to reach out to. All my information is there online. So if you call, you're more than likely going to speak to me. You know, and I'm happy to be able to talk to individuals. But of course, I do consultation also. So if you call me and you're going to be talking for an hour, so I'm going to tell you about a consultation just because you know, I want to be able to streamline my time, right? And time is something we don't get back. So besides that, I'm here for anybody that has a question. You know, you could always hit me up and I'll definitely share it with you, right? I'll share that with you in a consultation or not. but yeah, you know, it's just like you said, I'm in paradise. I feel like I'm in paradise, right? I'm looking outside, I'm seeing palm trees, the sun is beaming, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, this is like the second half of my life. I think sometimes people live and it's just mundane. It starts exciting and just winds down. And I think for me, it's went up and it just kept, it's just going up. I feel like I got a second half of my life here and I'm just embracing it.
You got, I want leave the people with this because I want you to write the book. I want you to podcast YouTube and I want them to get the full game from you. But leave the people with what is it about being in Ghana? And I don't know if you've gone to any other African countries, but what is it? Because some people's like, well, is it the food? Is it the women? Is it the love? What is it? Is it that it's so cheap that people blame me? They say, oh, you like to pay the police. I say, no, I just pay toll. That's all. You know, I don't pay toll. But yeah, for you, that it just gives you that vibe.
So what really gives me the vibe, and I think that I think if you are a person that you're coming from a big city and things move at a slower pace. So you're able to gather your thoughts and be more creative and more innovative. And not only have I started the brand, but I created some things like I created this counter display that's never been created before. I think I'm like one of the only African Americans that's creating this cashew product that you could walk into a corner store and pick up a cashew. So if you like cashews and you go into a store, there is none of us that's doing it. It's coming from Africa, it's coming from the farmers, but it's going into a whole different race of people. So I would say support the Cashew Daddy brand because it's us, it's by us, it's for us. And one thing about Africa in a whole, the pace is slower, so it allows you to be more creative, more innovative. You can sit down like how a writer goes to solitude to kind of write a book. Hey, I'm rewriting my story.
I love it. I love it. You guys, I thank y'all for coming to the end. I could go on all day, you know, about Africa and business, but I want you to go check out Gusto the Great. That's the D-A Great, because, you know, people try to take that. But when you see the face, when you see at Cashew Daddy brand, you'll know you're in the right place. I want you to go to the website. Links will be in the description. However you are experiencing this, I know most of y'all are listeners. Some of y'all are truck drivers listening on that over the road trip. Get this game because you could be next and you know how to reach the man. I appreciate you, Gusto. I appreciate the audience. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, share this game with somebody. It will change their life.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, you know, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com.